Welcome to the Get It Done podcast. The podcast where because it's season two, season one, it was completely focused on me. Season two, I am focusing on other business owners. I am an all natural plant based licensed esthetician. My name is Erin. I should have started with that. Um, and I am talking to business owners. I am hearing their stories. I'm talking to business owners that I've absolutely have no clue of who they are, what they do. I am interested. I'm absolutely in love with business and the story of the business owner. We all go through a journey. We all have a story to tell. So I just like to hear how people got to where they are. My story is interesting as it is. So I want to hear everybody else's. Today's guest, I do know her first name. Her name is Morgan. I'm gonna add her on stage now.
Hi.
Hi, Morgan.
Hi,
Happy
Erin.
Tuesday. How are
Happy
you?
Tuesday. I'm doing great. I'm really excited that my dogs decided to start barking as
They
soon
want
as
to
I
say
went
hi
live.
too.
He does. He loves being on camera. We'll see if he wants to make an appearance or if it's just going to be a little ghost bark in the background.
How funny. So I'll allow you to introduce yourself, your business. What do you do?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Morgan. I am a yoga teacher. I'm also a business coach for healers, such as yoga teachers. I teach them how to make passive income streams online and how to scale their existing business in alignment with their energy. And there's a lot more to that story of how I found myself on this path, but that's the nutshell version.
And how did you get there? What is your story? That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Let's stretch it out. Yeah, not the nutshell, it's the whole tree. So I first, when I turned 18, went to college, didn't like it, dropped out, moved to Seattle, got a job at a bank, and worked there for 2 years. I was robbed at gunpoint 3 times. Eventually, was like, I don't know if I need to get like robbed for a living. So I went back to
Was it
college
because you worked at the bank? I mean, they were
because I
watching
worked at the
you?
bank. Yeah, yeah, not just like in the world, but no, I was at
How
the bank and it was
crazy.
part of the job. We actually had extensive training for how to get robbed. And this was 20 years ago, so I'm sure it's different now.
I'm
But
sure.
yeah, it was like 100% part of the job was having someone stick a gun in your face and say, "Give me all your money." Isn't
Oh
that
my
crazy?
goodness. Crazy.
So eventually I went back to school once I realized, like, oh, these are the types of jobs you get without a college degree. I got an English degree after a couple of years, and then I graduated at the height of the recession back in 2008. I had been working at that point 4 different jobs while supporting myself through college, including bookkeeping, which
Oh.
I had some experience, working with money, and then just taught myself QuickBooks and got some bookkeeping jobs. And that led me into a corporate career working in high level corporate accounting with my English degree. Makes perfect sense.
Nice.
So I ended up
Yeah.
working for a variety of different industries. I worked in the surf industry, I worked in PR, I worked in the machine shop industry. All these places need bookkeepers, right? And bookkeeping is a
Right.
great job. Everyone needs it. And then
And
I
it's never
got
going away.
you're gonna always have to keep track of your money, my friends.
Yep.
Absolutely. So I eventually got in with a logistics company startup, the kind of company that like Amazon would hire to help with like, okay, where are we going to keep all this stuff? How are we going to get it, shipped to you? How are we going to get it shipped? We especially focused on cross border stuff, and I promise that's all I'll say about it because it is as boring as you think it is. But I was able to work there for about 7 years, working my way up the ladder. And I learned a lot about how to build a business because this was a startup. So the one thing I didn't like about it is I was making rich white dudes richer and whiter. And that was just not where my heart was at. So I had gotten into yoga somewhere around that same time as I got the job. A friend had invited me to go. I was coming off a bad injury. I'd broken a foot and I had to be in a cast for 6 months. I gained a bunch of weight. I was super depressed. I was super anxious. And like, I was just a hot mess in my early 20s. So my friend said, "Hey, I love Bikram. It really helps me. Why don't you come to class?" And Bikram is, for those of you who don't know, is a very, very hot style of yoga. It's super intense and you get really addicted to it real fast if your body responds to the heat. So I bought a 10 pack of classes. I started going one week, one day after the other. And by the time I got to the 10th class, I was totally obsessed with yoga, but I had also deeply injured myself. Once again, I had torn my obliques, which like is really hard to do. So this was like,
Painful.
what's that?
Painful.
It was, I did it during yoga and it was kind of like this pop when it happened. I wouldn't say it was painful in the moment. The pain came with how my body compensated in the months afterwards once I realized like how badly I had hurt myself. So I really loved the effect that yoga gave me, except for the grievous injury. And I knew there was something else to it. So I started looking into more restorative and healing forms of yoga besides the Bikram style. And I found a studio right around the corner from my little place in Santa Barbara. And I started going one day and then the next day. And before I knew it, I'd been there every day for a year. And I'd gone to visit my mom in San Francisco and I was kind of crying about like, midlife or quarter life crisis. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm working for this logistics company. And she was like, Mom, or no, she didn't call me mom. She was like, Morgan, I'm your mommy. Like, I know you. And what I've watched you do is get really into yoga. Have you ever thought about doing a teacher training? And I said, you know what? I have thought about it. They're actually starting next week at the studio. I just don't know how to afford it. And my mom was like, I'll pay for it. And so she
Aw.
funded my first, I know, really, it's a good mommy act. Like, yes, go in this direction. So this first training I did was a 6-month program, which is kind of rare, especially now in the yoga world. Usually you're working for, or you're in a teacher training for about 2 months. They really push it through really quickly. And so this gave me a lot of time to integrate the yoga lifestyle and philosophy into my day-to-day life. And as it does for many yogis, I started to see parts of my world that just were not serving me. And one of those things was working in this corporate startup, super patriarchal atmosphere where, yes, I was making enough money to like afford a mortgage in Santa Barbara, but at what cost, right? At the cost of my own soul. It was like the
Yeah.
literal definition of selling out. So eventually I got laid off from that job and it was like the best day ever. The HR rep was crying. I had a big smile on my face because I'd seen it coming. I'd saved up a bunch of money and they gave me a fat severance package. And I hired a business coach with that severance package because I knew I do not want to work for anyone else ever again. I don't want someone to determine how much money I can make. I don't want to have to beg for a 3% raise year over year. I don't want to have to ask permission to travel and go on vacation. I don't want
That was
anyone
my
else to
thing.
have authority over my life. I want
Yes.
freedom. So I hired this business coach. She said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to teach yoga full time. I really love working. At that point, my private clients in yoga were usually people who'd had some sort of really grievous injury, which, as I mentioned, just 2 of the grievous injuries that I've had. So I had a good relationship to how to have this really patient healing process, as well as how to bring in a spiritual aspect to the healing process through the yoga practice, right? Using healing as an excuse to get deeper into your body rather than just ignoring the pain and pushing through it. We use pain as a message and use that message to know where we need to move energy, both in our bodies and in our lives. So I would take these like 6-month long, clients who had, one had been in a terrible bike accident, had broken multiple bones. Another had had a really traumatic birth. And that's who I really wanted to work with. But the hard part I was having was charging enough money because I would have done it for free because I loved it. And so,
Mhm.
but I need it. I needed to make my mortgage, right? So that's why I hired the business coach to help me set my rates, create a business plan, and create a marketing strategy in order to attract the clients that I wanted to work with and to get paid to make my
Yeah,
life
that's the
more.
point of it.
It's the point of it. Yeah. Well, the point of it is to spread healing. And the
It's
way
one
we
of the
express
points. I'm
value for that
sorry.
is by paying for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but when you're running a business, you gotta make some money. Otherwise it's a hobby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So I had attracted my first client who paid me $1,000 within a few days of hiring that business coach before I'd even paid her. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. And I was psyched and I was off and running. What I didn't account for is I could only work with a handful of clients at a time. And I had to work with a certain type of clientele, one that made a lot of money so that they could afford me, right? Because I couldn't route my work through insurance. I'm not a licensed medical professional. So I needed someone who could afford to pay, like over $1,000 a month for the level of care that
Yes.
I was providing. Most people in the world don't have that. And that was frustrating for me as a healer who's trying to bring equanimity to the world, to know that I could only work with rich people. And it kind of felt like I was back in this box from the corporate world of like, I'm just helping the rich people here. And that's not what I came here to do. I came here to make healing equitable for everyone. So once I realized that, I worked with my business coach, and she said, well, look, even if you could afford, if you were like privately wealthy and you could afford to work with people for free, the reality is working one on one with people, you can only work with a handful of people a year. That's just the reality of the energy output that it takes in order to really build that type of business and
Okay.
not burn out. So, but there was another option, which was to teach other yoga teachers what I was doing. And then I could, like a tree, kind of spread out my healing. Where if I can teach one other yoga teacher, here's how you do this, and she helps, 4 people. And then that's just going to like spread out this reach even further. Right. So,
Right.
and I also had the confirmation other yoga teachers noticed the success I was having, and they asked me for advice about, how are you finding these private clients? How are you making your life work? How are you paying this expensive mortgage? So I created a business coaching program, just working one on one with teachers who would approach me and ask, how do I do what you're doing? And I would say, well, you hire me and I'll teach you how to do it. We'll do it together. So that just led to me creating a whole host of online courses where I teach people. I've expanded from yoga teachers. I worked with a lot of doctors who are sick of the Western medical way of doing business, but want to still offer their healing knowledge. I worked with a lot of therapists in the same boat. They're just burnt out from having to see 10 patients a day in order to make their life work. I've worked with, Reiki healers. I've worked with sound healers. I've worked with just the whole gamut of spiritual healers in the world. And I've been doing that now for 8 years. It's been
Nice.
a real joy. And I can tell you more about the ups and downs with that journey, but that is the bigger nutshell of
Right. The
my
gist of
story.
it. So I love to hear like I guess the journey that we go through as business owners. Like you start in one place and then you end up here because of whatever reason. I love that. Once you found yourself, maybe not with your back up against the wall, well, kind of, but not really. But once you recognize, okay, with this, I can only do so much. And then that's when in business, that's the fun part of business because we have to figure out, okay, where do I go from here? What is it that like will take me to do this, to do that? How did you feel like in that space? Did it take you a while? What did you do to like transform to like get the idea of, kind of changing but still staying in the same lane?
Erin, I felt incredibly overwhelmed
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because I had a million perfect, brilliant ideas all at the same time, and I had no idea where to point my arrow. And so, what I realized, what I've learned for myself, and what I teach to my clients is when you have a million ideas, first of all, not all of them are yours. Sometimes you're just the satellite for other ideas that are floating through that are meant to pass through you to someone else. So not every brilliant idea is your responsibility to bring it to fruition. You got to give ourselves a break for all the things that we don't do. But I also learned more about human design in order to tap into my deep intuition for my own individual body to learn, okay, how do I make decisions? Because I can't trust my heart. I got a big open heart. It wants to do everything and love everyone, and that's just not possible. I can't trust my head. I got a million thoughts in here. Most of them aren't mine. I can't trust, no decision should be made in the head. But I, with the sacral authority in human design, I can trust my gut. And that's not true for everyone, but I can trust my sacral. And I've learned how to have a conversation with it, or I can ask it yes or no questions and it'll say, uh-huh, let's do that. Or it'll say, uh-uh, girl, what are you thinking?
Yeah,
And
that's not
it's
it.
very clear. So that's the feeling of overwhelm of just like writing down list after list of everything I want to build, and then asking myself the questions going down the list. Is this what I want to work on today? Is this an idea for me, or should I just cross it off the list? So just learning how to like get all those thoughts out of my head, really examine them, feel on a somatic level, okay, what direction do I need to go today? Like right now, right? Not making decisions for my future self, but just prioritizing for myself. And through that, I've been able to build 2 websites. I've expanded my clientele to work with thousands of people all over the world. And I've given myself permission to be patient with my business, even as it
Yeah,
grows and
because
scales.
we do have to be patient. It is
You do have to be patient. It is a slow growth, no matter what. There's no overnight success. It just feels that
true.
way.
Yes. And what did you do to gain your clientele too? add on to your new idea?
So I get clientels from, or clientels. I get clientele from three different places. I get them from referrals. So my very first client was a friend of a neighbor. She actually lived in the same condo complex in Santa Barbara as I did. And when my neighbor heard that I was doing this work, she's one of those super connectors who was like, "Oh, you have to meet this person." And she connected us, and it all worked out beautifully from there. And
How did
about
she hear about it?
I
Did
because she was a good friend of mine, and I was just telling her like, "Oh, I
you
just got
were
laid off, but I'm gonna."
conversation?
Yeah, yeah. She was actually, so I had gone through another injury and I torn my ACL and was like bedbound for weeks and couldn't even like walk like to the mailbox. But I had a dog, so she would come and walk my dog. So like twice a day for months. So we became very close just from, her own angelic soul helping me out. But then when I told her, what was going on with the job and what I wanted to do, she just immediately wanted to connect me with anyone in her network who she thought it would be mutually beneficial, right? So referrals, still probably about 30 to 40% of my clients find me through other people. I was finding them through my public yoga classes, which I used as a marketing funnel, just like doing live events like this, standing up in front of any audience, whether it's, a workshop at a corporation, whether it's a yoga class that you're teaching. It's an opportunity to put my energy out there, and then I can trust that my aura will attract the people who want to work with me. And then most of the people come to me through social media or through SEO, through YouTube and through my website, especially through a web meditation app called Insight Timer. I have a video on YouTube. My most popular video is how I make 5 figures a month using the meditation app Insight Timer, which includes passive income because you get paid for your meditations. Every time someone listens to it, you get royalties. But it's
Nice.
also a great marketing funnel for healers because the audience there, they're looking for people to help them with spiritual and physical ailments, as opposed to like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, where a lot of people are just looking for distraction. People go to meditation apps in order to look for genuine healing. So it's easier to connect with people who are both working in the healing world and need advice from me to find more clients, or to connect with people who want to hire me as a healer, as a life coach to help them through a transition phase in their life. I think that
Nice.
answered the question, but I forgot what it was and all that talking.
It was it was how did you find your clientele? But yes, you did.
Great.
What are you grateful for today?
Oh, I love that question so much. I'm grateful for my best friend Devin on the East Coast. I'm grateful for my best friend Robbie, who lives in Joshua Tree. None of my besties live near me right now, which is very sad for me, but I'm just wake up so grateful for the internet that I can easily connect with like everyone in the world almost immediately. I'm grateful for my dog Spike, who is very kindly keeping quiet now that we've gotten into the swing of things. And I'm grateful for the mountains. I've been an ocean girl for most of my life. I spent most of my life in Santa Barbara. I lived there for 20 years. And I'm currently in Tahoe for ski season.
Oh,
So I'm really
nice.
grateful to have that like mountain energy and I get to
Oh, and I
ski
know it's
all the
so pretty
time.
there.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. I love it. I love the air. I love just, being 20 minutes away from a mountain and skiing and go skiing during the week. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm grateful for all those things. Oh, I'd love to know
Yes.
from you though. What are you grateful for?
What am I grateful for today? Good question. I am grateful that I am God's baby first. I
Mhm.
am grateful too for my friends. Like friends just um make life better. Like, and these are people that we weren't born into these relationships, so we get to choose and pick and decline and let go if it doesn't work out. But they just make things better. They make things worth it. um and I am grateful for a home that I love, that I
Mhm.
absolutely love. I'm grateful for work that I absolutely love. Like, not everybody is doing work that they love. So I'm extremely grateful for that. I thank God for it every day, literally. So, um, a few things that I'm grateful for.
I love that. It is such a privilege to do work that we love, and it used to
Yeah.
be I would wake up with, like, 4 alarms. I would have to have a whole pot of coffee just to force myself out the door to sit in front of
Oh.
spreadsheets all day, right? I'd get home,
Sit
I'd
in
pour myself
traffic.
I mean, I lived in Santa Barbara, so there wasn't too much traffic, and I could
Ugh.
ride my bike most days. So I
Oh,
was
I would love
fortunate. I
that.
am grateful for that part of it. But I did live in LA for a few years, so I know those feels.
Yes.
Um, but now I wake up easily at 4 a.m., no alarms ever. I teach yoga at like 5
Nice.
in the morning, and
N-
I'm just like in the best mood all day. I
mhm.
do have to go to sleep really early though. That's the one thing. Makes dating a little
Yeah, to get
tricky.
a bit forward because there's no way. I'm like dreaming, nice and comfy. But one thing that I did do, once I quit my job, I gave myself a couple of things that I would give to myself. So what I gave myself is my morning. So usually I don't start work until 11. Well, I don't take clients until 11 unless it's like something special. Um I wear what I want and I don't do things that I don't want to do. Like if I don't absolutely love it, I don't do it. Providing services that I don't enjoy doing, and I take them off my service list. I forgot my point to that, but
Well, I wanna add on to one thing you said, which is wearing what you want, because that's another form
yes,
of freedom that I just hated.
yes,
I worked at In-N-Out, I've worked service industry jobs, and I would get bitched at so much about what I was wearing. Like, one time I had, like, a
yes.
green bra under my In-N-Out top, and, like, the manager was such a mean girl about it, and I was
Yep.
like, "Sorry, I made a mistake and forgot my white bra." But she,
Right.
like, made me feel so bad, like I was, like, just the Jezebel of the world or something that they could
Yeah,
see
because
through
you
my
it's
shirt.
all these rules, and in addition to me having to ask another human, another adult that I'm paying bills and everything else just like you, and in addition to having to ask you, can I have a day off to handle personal things in my life, and you still tell
Mhm.
me no.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
addition to that, I have to wear what you want me to wear. Like I have to look a certain way that is, outside of what I'm comfortable with wearing. Like I just want to wear jeans and t-shirts or shorts and t-shirts. Like I just want to be comfortable. So,
totally.
I'm grateful to be in a position to not have to wear what somebody tells me to wear. Or if they
Absolutely.
don't agree with what I have on, I have to go home. Or like what, I'm not going to get paid because you don't like that my skirt is right above my knee, or I don't know. It's just all these weird things that come with working a job that has nothing
Right.
to even do with the job. So
Yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, we put a lot of judgment on what we put on our bodies, and it's just a form of patriarchal control, right? Like,
Hmm.
they say it's a sign of respect, like, show up to court and wear, like, a suit and whatever, and it's like, "No, these are meat suits. All this is fake. All of this is none of this
Yes.
is real."
Especially if
Like,
your heart is bad. The stuff that's coming out of your mouth is like, what? But you're mad that I have curly hair on my ponytail? Like, what?
"You're
It's
mad I'm not wearing
crazy how
lipstick
things
today?"
are.
Like
Yeah. So, a little fun. So I have 5 words. I'm gonna just list off the 5 words, and then whatever comes to your mind, you say. The first word is peace.
Love,
That's so funny because that was what I was thinking. So
spirit,
friendship,
love,
business,
badass,
period. Home.
comfort.
Nice. That's a little fun thing that I do with all
I
the
love it.
sessions.
I love it. I love
Okay,
that love
so
came up twice.
the uh idea for this podcast is to I work with a lot of people, I see a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people, and most people, we were talking about being able to make these decisions on our own concerning our work and all of these things. But the way that we were able to do it, because we were fearless at the end of it, at the core of it, is because we lacked the fear, or maybe if the fear wasn't there, we still did it with the fear. And a lot of people have the fear and they don't act upon it because they're so scared. Um, so what do you have to say to the girl that wants to start the business, that wants to quit her job, or that wants to still have a job but start the business, or have all these creative ideas but she's so scared to do it? What would you say to her?
So this is a lot of the work that I do with every single one of my clients. There is a fear of failure, but there's also a fear of success. And so they just get themselves in this tizzy of like, not only is this not going to work, but if it works, it's going to suck. So we got to kind of look at that mindset and figure out, okay, where's the root of this? First of all, who's the first person who told you that you didn't get to have what you wanted? And this usually goes back to some childhood stuff. I've had clients tell me about not getting picked in dodgeball, or, all these really traumatic moments, not getting the Christmas present that you want, things that really hurt as a child that as an
Yeah.
adult, you're like,
They
maybe get
hold on
over
to
it.
it.
But
Yeah.
but your body remembers what it feels like to like, I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy. If you had, abusive parents who didn't support you, who made fun of you for trying anything, if you had a bully at school or in your family, like all of us have relationships like this in our life. We all have these things we have to unlearn as an adult, but you have to look to where it initially started. And this is where we get some energy work involved in the situation, because we can go back to those moments in, the grand nonlinear realm of time and tell that child, like, hey, this person's lying to you. You're actually awesome. You have a great imagination. All your dreams are going to come true. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
So we got to first look at, okay, who's telling you don't get to have what you want? And then we've also got to look at the fear of success. Well, what do you think's going to happen if this thing that you want to do really works, right? And you hear everything from, like, something I had to work on myself is I'm going to have stalkers, because I have had stalkers.
Workers.
I've had
Oh
very popular
wow.
blogs. I've had people show up at my work multiple times, and it's
Wow.
weird. I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. It is weird.
So it's like, that's kind of the worst case scenario, is if I put myself out there, people are going to feel like I owe them something, and they're not going to ask my permission. They're going to try to take something from me that I don't want to give them, right? Or I'm going to get burnt out. I'm going to end up in the same situation I'm already in, where I'm putting forth too much energy, not getting enough energy back from, the output that I'm giving. And it's going to lead to me feeling like, exhausted all the time. And then I'm not going to be able to do anything because I'm going to get sick, right? So that fear of success is like, well, let's give that worst case scenario space to exist as, a fear response, not anything that's happening in reality, because fear is false evidence appearing real, right? And fear is never based in reality. But it's that lizard brain that we all have that's like, I will do anything to protect this body, and I will do it illogically. I will do it in a way that doesn't make sense, right? So
Right.
it's like, I'm scared of putting myself out there, but I know if I don't, I'm going to be depressed because I'm not expressing my truth. I'm not expressing my creativity. So once you look at both of those things, now we have to go into, all right, what's the reality of what it's going to take to get this done? And let's make it as fun as possible. Let's make this whole process as joyful as possible, because if you hate any of it, it is going to suck, and it's not going to get you where you need to be.
Yeah.
So let's create, you don't have to follow the same model as anyone else, but we will look at, the models that have worked for what you're trying to do to get you there. And then we're going to put together an action plan to make you money doing something that you love to do, that is most importantly going to help other people. And I don't care if you're a writer, if that's writing a book. Of course, writing books help other people, right? Paintings are, anything creative is incredibly healing. I
Right.
mean, unless you're talking about going to war, which I'm not sure anyone in this podcast is like, that's my market, that's my business, that's the ticket. No, this is all about putting positive, productive energy into the world, where we can guide people closer to healing, right? And sometimes that means doing some pencil pushing. So we need to bring joy even to paying taxes, right? When I do my taxes, I sit down with a giant mimosa, I
Grateful
put on
and
some
thankful.
reggae, I light a joint, and I have a great time doing my taxes.
You get to do your taxes. That
I
is
get
a thing.
to. Yes.
How cute. That was great advice to the girl who is scared to just start. Like, just do it. Um, what are you working on, or are you even working on? Because I know for me this year, and a lot of people that I talk to as well, this year is more about building on what I have. So is there something that you're like working on specifically that you are comfortable with sharing? um
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I am working on a book. I
Nice.
already have it written. I'm just doing the formatting right now. So that's one of the big things I'm working on. It's called Manifestation Magic, and it's half just the story of mine and my clients and how we get shit done. In other words,
Period.
how we make our dreams come true. And then it's half just a workbook of tools that I've used, different various forms of list and productivity tools. And it's designed especially for people with ADHD or people who are on the neurodivergent spectrum, who just have a hard time getting shit done. They don't have natural executive function. Unless they're really passionate about something and hyper focusing on it, they're always going to be chasing dopamine. So it's a workbook of dopamine boosting activities in order
Nice.
to make it obvious what you're supposed to be doing and to make it easy for you to actually do it. So
Nice.
the book is one thing. I also have a Telegram group that I started for a small monthly fee. Some people sign up for a year in advance. Where every month we have a 3-day manifestation challenge, and then we have weekly check-ins to help people stay accountable to their goals. So that's something
Nice.
I'm looking forward to. I've had about 20 people in there right now, and it's something that I would love to blow up and have just like hundreds of people in there because it's so powerful having community support for what you're trying to manifest. And also, these communities, like, you just end up with like-minded souls, and we help each other make our manifestations happen. Like, my clients hire each other all the time or
It
refer
helps
people
push the
to
ball
each
forward.
other.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Then the third thing is I have a small group coaching program called the Art of Abundance. That one I keep smaller. It's fewer than 10 people, and it's a monthly subscription. We meet twice a week, and I offer business coaching in a more affordable way if you can't quite afford my one-on-one. This way you can still work with me and my community in order to build your healing business, and especially focusing on passive income streams and big wins. We like big wins in that group.
Nice, 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 nice. I just got into and I wish I would have did this when I first started, but I just got into subscription services. It's a complete game changer, and it helps my clients a lot because it allows them to come in and receive the services for less than what they would be paying just for a monthly service. Um I'm sorry.
It's
Uh-oh.
that's yeah, no, it's I used to do like 3 to 6 month programs, but I went to the monthly subscription model because some of my clients needed me for years and some of them just needed me for a couple of months. And
Yeah,
I can have my
they
own
get that
instincts about
option.
it, but you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So exactly to your point, it's like I want to be able to offer something in a way that will benefit my target market without um over delivering or under delivering, right? And the timing of it, like I'm not in control of that. They're in control of that.
Yep. I love it. So every now and then I get into a space because this is being a business owner in my mind, we have to stay super creative, super innovative. But sometimes I'm just like I get into like a funk of like, okay, the creativity isn't flowing. Do you get into those moments? And if so, what do you do to get out of them?
I I absolutely do 100%. And the way that I get out of them is I don't even try to force myself through it. I used to. I used to be like, I'm gonna redesign this website today, no matter
Yep.
how I'm feeling. Today's the day I said I was gonna do it. No, I started working with my own natural rhythms. I work with my personal cycle, and I work with the cycle of the moon and the stars and the planets. In order to understand where is my best pocket of creativity. And especially as someone with ADHD, I've got a different brain type. My brain functions so differently. So I have about 3 days a month. I can get done everything I need to in those 3 days for whatever I'm trying to grow, right? I'll get
Yes.
a landing page done. I'll create a whole marketing and like a campaign and automate everything. And then I get to coast the rest of the month. Where coasting is, I need to take really good care of myself and be disciplined, not in like
Yes.
a punishment way, but in a like, no, I need to commit to doing the things that I know best serve me. So for me, that's yoga, that's going for a bike ride or skiing, somehow moving my body quickly through space, journaling, meditation, feeding myself healthy food, and talking to my friends and my mentors and my coaches, right? Reaching out to them, having daily check-ins with my deep, my closest circle of like, here's what today is like. But it's important to remember because like sometimes I have months of like, I don't want to do anything. And I built
Yes.
my business where I have a couple income streams that are automated. So I don't have to. So
It
that's,
makes it easier.
it gives me freedom, makes it so
Yes.
much easier. But those plateaus are a really natural part of building a business. You get to the top of the mountain, look around. Don't rush to the next mountain. Take a moment, take in the view, honor what you've built, right? Really celebrate it. That's what the plateau is all about, really celebrating what you've built. And
I
then
have to learn that because
it's
I'm just
hard.
like, I just got to keep going.
It's
I'm
hard.
not there yet.
Well, this is why the first question I ask my coaching clients during our meetings is, what are you celebrating today? Because if
Nice.
you start from that place of what you're celebrating, and it can be small, it can be like, I took a shower. Good job. That is
Like I
something to
got out of the
celebrate.
bed.
Sometimes it's big, I signed a client, I got married, whatever.
Right.
But there's always something to celebrate, but you need to get yourself into that vibrational energy of like, I like what I'm doing and I'm looking forward to it and it's worth it in order to build the next thing. If you're not honoring what you've already built, it makes it that much harder to build the next thing because then you're just chasing that desire of having done something instead of enjoying the process of creating, right? It's like the means justifying the ends versus the ends justifying the means. If you're
Yep.
not enjoying the process, what's the point?
Yes.
Why are you
Yeah,
doing
that
it?
is huge. There's no way that I can do work. I mean, because I have friends and people that I talk to that do work that they absolutely hate every day of their life. Like, how are you doing it? Like, what's the point? Like, you're doing this just to pay bills, girl. I will go get me a motorhome, or I mean, like,
Get rid of the bills.
just to pay the bills to be. I just don't agree with being miserable every day, all day. Like, we're at work so many hours in the day, so much time of our life is being spent on
Yeah,
our work, and to do work that I hate for a long, I mean, I understand sometimes you just got to do what you got to do,
yeah,
but for a long period of time, like, no, people have been doing it for years and years, like 20 years on a job that they hate. Like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. My parents did it. I watched them do it. That's the household I grew up in. That's why I
Yeah.
started down this path. I was like, what do I do with my life? My parents were like, you get a job and you work that job for the rest of your life. That's what
Yeah,
you do.
that's how, that was their idea of getting things done.
That's
So,
it. That's how you get shit done. And that's how you
and
get shit done for other people.
yeah,
And I wanted to get shit done for myself.
yes, that is the truth. That could go on to a conversation on a conversation on a conversation.
But to emphasize your point of like, there are times in my life where I've had to work for other people. I got
Yeah,
bills
we
to pay, right?
yes.
But I had an exit strategy. And it's that exit strategy that is crucial. If you don't have that exit strategy, yeah, you're just miserable and you deserve better, my friends. You've got
Yeah.
a passion, you can monetize it, do it.
Yep. And that's what I tell majority of my clients when we do sit and talk, and they talk about work or talk about whatever's going on. Like, yesterday I had a client, she's a little older, and she is about to retire. She's a teacher, and she's like, I'm like, well, when do you retire? And she's like, next year at the end of the semester. She's like, but I don't, I still want to be able to live my life and enjoy things. I'm like, start a business. And she's like, like, when people hear it, they're like, they just laugh at me, and I'm like, so serious. I'm like, there's so many ways to make money. Like, you can, I'm like, start now while you're still working,
Yeah.
to build it and have something built. And she's just like, no. I'm like, well, just start a podcast. I was like, get on there every day and just talk about, like, anything. Talk about your
Mhm.
experience at work. Talk, like, just do something to build an audience. Like, just start there.
Yeah.
But no one, they're just like, okay. Like, they just think she's the crazy girl.
Well, not everyone's an entrepreneur, and I honor
No, they're
that.
not.
And
I
but
mean, but it can still be something as just something that you enjoy, but you're making money off of it. You don't have to
Mhm.
try to become a millionaire, but you know that you want to do these extra things once you retire. You want to have this extra money.
Yeah.
Sell flowers. Like, it doesn't have to be this great, huge business idea. It could
I
be
mean, even
something
if it
super
brings
simple.
in like $50 a month, that's a nice month
Yes.
out, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
foot massage.
And if you can bring in $50 a month, you can bring in $1,000 a month, 100. I mean, like, if you can do that, you can do more. Um,
Absolutely.
and the goal doesn't have to be like $1 million. So,
No,
but I'm
okay.
always telling people to do something.
It's okay to have low expectations for yourself. And this is where it's important to know what enough is, because this is the trap that people find themselves in is they're like,
Mhm.
I joke that half my clients grew up with no money and half grew up with way too much money. And one of
Yep.
my clients who had way too much
Find
money
the
had
balance.
there's a balance. But I asked her, okay, you've got over $1 million saved up. You're 22 years old. Like, what are you going to spend your money on? She's like, investments. And I was like, okay, what are you buying for investment stocks? Okay. What are you going to do with those? Buy more stocks. I'm like, To what ends? Like,
Right.
how is this
Like,
bringing
where's
joy
the
into your
enjoy? Is
life?
that what you enjoy, or is
Yeah.
that you're just doing it just because?
Yeah, like, I love investing in crypto. I dabble in crypto, that's fun for me every
It's
once in a
fun.
while,
Yes.
but I'm not doing it just to accumulate money for money's sake. I'm doing it because that's how I pay for my vacations, right? It's how I
Nice.
pay for my
It's
travel.
a reasoning. It's a point to it.
There's a I have a plan for it. That's essentially
Yes.
it. So I know how
Mhm.
much I need to live my best life. I figured out ways to make that happen through multiple income streams, not just one, like one full-time job, but multiple income streams, including like I teach yoga at yoga studio, so I do technically work for someone else, but I have so much freedom within that, and I could walk away in, a second and not lose any, lose not even 10% of my income.
All right.
So, creating that freedom for yourself, having a plan for your money to know like this is what brings me joy. So for this woman, she eventually realized that she really loved horses and could totally easily afford one, and so that's what we helped her do. So it's
Nice.
like, it's whatever your horse is, whatever your yoga is, right? Like find that thing, have
And
that
do
plan
it.
for the money. Sometimes you can tie them together. Like all of my yoga income goes back into yoga. That's what I use to afford my yoga retreats. That's what I use to buy trainings and workshops, and it's a zero sum game for me, but that's how I want it to be because I have these other income streams to pay for the rest of my life, right?
Mhm.
But I feed the yoga income into yoga because that feeds me, it feeds my business, and it feeds the rest of the world. So you can find
Sponsored by
something like
Yoga
that.
Income.
Yeah, yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, you don't have to monetize every single hobby. You do need some hobby. And I say this as a Capricorn who does want to monetize every single hobby.
When's
But
your
you
birthday?
12/29, when's yours?
Uh,
Are you a
uh
Capricorn?
December 31st.
Oh, yours might be worse than mine. Mine's pretty bad. Yours might be worse.
Might be because I'm like, okay, where's the how do I make money off of it? That's
Yeah.
always the question.
You throw yourself a New Year's Eve party, you charge 150 bucks a pop. There you go.
Period. Any good advice lately? Has any of your friends, anyone, any random person you talking to, any person give you great advice that you'd like to share?
Yeah. Oh man, I just got like a flood. My bestie Devin, we talk all day long. She gives me great advice. The last thing was a journal prompt that she gave me about a problem I was having in a relationship with someone in my family. And she asked me to write, what's the best case scenario here and what feels true about that? What's the worst case scenario and what feels true about that? And it helped me to work through how I was rationalizing my feelings when all I really needed to do was feel my feelings, but like it
Mhm.
was too tender. I couldn't do it. I had to like write it out.
The
So
writing makes things way better.
journaling, it's like talking to God. It's seeing the divine experience through the human ego. Devin gives me great advice. My yoga studio, I got some really good advice having to do with an adjustment that I was doing in class, where I realized I need to enter people's aura slowly and leave people's aura slowly. And I think I can extrapolate that to like any energy that I'm trying to not manipulate because that has a negative connotation, but any energy that I'm interacting with. I need to move slowly into it for myself just to understand is this appropriate for me? And I need to exit slowly because I have a tendency to just slam the door when I think a relationship is over. Like, all right, that's the end of that. This chapter's over. And so being a little more graceful with that, that's been some good advice I've had of like, you can close the door. You don't have to slam the door.
Depends on the situation, but yes, I
Sometimes
agree.
you do. You need to like board it up.
Yes.
But this
Well,
is where
more.
entering into the relationship slowly helps me see a little more
Yes.
clearly, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now that is good advice right there. Entering slowly.
Yeah.
Because yes, I'll just leave that there. It has been a great joy talking to you today. It's been a fun 43 minutes and 50 seconds. Is there anything that you would love to share that you have to say to people? Your How can they find you? How can you be contacted?
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at splendid.yoga. That's also my website, splendid.yoga. The .yoga is the .com. Um, and yeah, you can join my email list from there. I have a quiz for those of you who are interested in passive income. I have a quiz that tells you what passive income stream you should create based on your personality type. So you can check that quiz out. through my Instagram. That link is in my bio. And the only message that I love to leave people with is that you deserve an easy life. And I know it's been way too fucking hard. I know it has been. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's been that way. This world is crazy. But trust yourself. You are right where you need to be. And you deserve an easy life filled with joy. And you can make decisions every day that bring in joy and make you feel better, or you can make decisions that make you feel worse. And usually it's a combination of those two things. But if you can make a few more decisions that make you feel better, lighter energy, more energetic, more excited to wake up in the morning, keep doing that stuff. That's where your heart is.
Thank you, Morgan. I love it.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Same, same. Thank you so much. I'll be contacting you soon for a little bit more information, but have a good day and thank you so much for showing up for me.
My pleasure, Erin. You have a beautiful Tuesday. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Mm, okay, I did it. That is episode 6. The episodes are just moving right along. I am having a blast talking to other business owners. If you are a business owner, if you would like to come here and share your story, I would love to have you. Please contact me on whatever platform this is. There's a way to contact me. Um, don't forget to thank God for your blessings. Don't forget to say your prayers. Don't forget to take care of your skin. Happy Tuesday. Bye.